Hi, I'm Modi Abate. This is Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
Greetings from Daytona, where a band of dreamers took a strip of beach and turned it into a proving ground. The great American race, where year after year, greatness is the destination. So book your experience and soak in 500 miles of history and tradition. Once you arrive, you'll never look back. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Yes, not with you in our Tuscaloosa studio today, but rather from my hotel room in Lexington, Kentucky, where later tonight the Alabama Crimson Tide women's basketball team will play the Kentucky Wildcats in what will be a top 20 showdown here in Lexington. But it's good to have you with us for this edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We'll begin our show by taking a look at what's coming up, plus our headlines, thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. Let's take a look at what's coming up on the show this afternoon. Starting with women's basketball, a conversation with the point guard of the Crimson Tide, Zaay Green, as she'll detail what's led to success for her and the Crimson Tide on the court this year. And then we will go to one of the leaders of the Alabama softball team. Team 29 is just around the corner, and catcher Marlie Giles will join us to preview the upcoming Alabama softball season. That begins next week. Plus, she will tell us about her journey from Chilton County, home of all those peaches, all the way to here in Tuscaloosa. Then we'll round out the show with Coach's Checklist from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nate Oates, following last night's dramatic win in Starkville. We go to men's basketball, and yes, it was dramatic late. 88-84 was the final score as the Crimson Tide made the necessary points down the stretch, free throws for sure, but also got some key defensive stops that helped lead to that win against a very good Mississippi State team. So great victory for the Tide. Tuscaloosa native Chris Youngblood, his best performance in a Crimson Tide jersey, 23 points. He knocked down 7 3-pointers, and then, like I mentioned, free throws were good for him as well as a key defensive rebound he had on what could have been a game winner for Mississippi State. Now, coming up on Saturday, the Crimson Tide will be at home against Georgia. 3 p.m. will be the tip-off inside Coleman. Our coverage at Stipe Lounge will begin at 2 o'clock all across the network as the Crimson Tide remain in the top 4 of the Associated Press poll, coming in at number 4, and Alabama still projected as a number 1 seed for the NCAA tournament. Women's basketball team had a tough effort against Vanderbilt on Sunday, fell 66-64. One huge positive for Alabama in that game was the return of Sarah Ashley Barker. She came back, was the only player in double-figure scoring for the Tide, but posted a career-high 36 points as the Crimson Tide fell by just 2 against Vanderbilt. Now tonight, as I mentioned, we're on the road in Lexington, Kentucky, taking on a very good Kentucky team that only has 1 loss in SEC play and is currently tied for 2nd in the league at historic Memorial Coliseum. So a tough battle coming up tonight, and then the Crimson Tide will be home coming up this weekend against the Georgia Lady Bulldogs Sunday at 2 o'clock as Alabama tries to remain in the top 25 in the nation, checking in right now at number 22 in the AP poll. It's kind of an all-Georgia weekend. Gymnastics will be taking on Georgia as well coming up on Friday. That will be on the road in Athens before the men's and women's team play host to the Bulldogs coming up the rest of the weekend in Tuscaloosa. Do want to remind you that Baseball Fan Day is coming up on February 8th, so we look forward to that. Some cool ways to interact with the baseball team. Have a good time at Sewell Thomas Stadium a week before the season begins. Season begins next Friday for the Crimson Tide softball team. We'll have more on that coming up in next week's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. And don't forget as well, several Alabama players are in Mobile participating in the Reese's Senior Bowl, and that'll be coming your way Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Kalen DeBoer went in to check on some Crimson Tide players earlier in the week. A lot of coverage available, rolltide.com, of Alabama in the Senior Bowl. Well, she's a super senior. This is her 7th year, part of college basketball. This is only the 5th year she's been healthy and playing, but Zaay Green has found quite a home here in Tuscaloosa, playing for the Crimson Tide as the point guard and at times the top scorer for the Crimson Tide this season. She joins us to detail what's led to success for her at the capstone. Roll Tide, welcome back to Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're inside the Advantage Center at our podcast studio. Roger Hoover now pleased to be joined by Zaay Green, point guard for the Crimson Tide women's basketball team this year. And Zaay, we've had you in the studio before to talk about what was coming up for Alabama women's basketball. That was back in the summer. How much have you enjoyed this fall and now into winter playing for the Tide?
Well, I really enjoyed it a lot, especially preseason. That was like I guess you could say the beginning of something new. So it's been really fun. I've enjoyed being around a team and then playing with them, of course, on the court. It's been amazing.
You've been through some transitions before during your college career. How did everyone help welcome you to Alabama once you got here?
I mean, overall, the team, the coaches, they have all welcomed me very easily. They make me comfortable and they tell me to be who I am on and off the court, and that's all I can appreciate.
That's really good. And you had a great preseason getting ready for non conference play. What do you feel like allowed Alabama to get off to such a good start in November and December?
I couldn't say the experience that we had just from the returners. You know, they played together. They know what it is. They know how the system works. So, yeah, they helped us out a lot. And then, I mean, our newcomers and stuff, and our freshmen, they listen so well. They're very coachable to the coaches. So, it's just been a positive vibe all over the place.
It really has been. And of course, you mentioned so many returners from last year's team, four starters back, and then the other one is now you fitting into that puzzle piece. Just when you're able to be the point guard and really distribute, what do you like about everyone's game on the floor?
I mean, where can I start? You got Essence Cody's just phenomenal down there in the paint. You know, even she can shoot 3-point range too. And then you got Leah Nye, unstoppable at the 3-point line. So, I mean, I love dishing to her personally. And then Carly Weathers, she's just all over player. I love Carly to death. Like, she's the best teammate I probably ever played for. So, and then SA, you can't, you know, she's the glue. She keeps us all together. She keeps us going. So, I mean, that's a motor that you just can't stop, honestly. And in the bench as well, they all play their roles really well. They do their part. Eris, Diana, Gianna, everybody. You can go down the list.
And then for you as well, not just dishing out to your teammates, but we've seen you in a lot of games really take over some scoring chances when Alabama needs it. You know, mini games plus 20 points, things like that. What do you feel like has allowed you to be successful scoring the basketball, especially when you're getting downhill into the rim?
I mean, that's always been my kind of style of game, but just the system within itself, how Coach Christie plays, whoever gets the rebound, push the ball. I mean, it's the system I love, and she lets me do what I need to do on the court. I mean, they don't really stop me. If anything, they tell me to keep going. So I just appreciate them for letting me just be who I am, really.
That's really great. And you mentioned the system. I know a lot of that is from not just Coach Christie, but Coach Kelly as well in game. How does he keep you guys on track in game?
I mean, he has a great offensive mindset. He has so many plays and so many sets. I don't even know how many we have, but he's very smart. His IQ is very, very high. And even on the defensive end, he helps us see things that we probably wouldn't see, especially film. I know that's my position coach, and I have film with him like every week. So he's just very smart man. Very smart man.
Yeah, that's led to a lot of good success, as we mentioned, for the Crimson Tide. In the non-conference play, it was kind of fun getting to go on the road, either to Niceville, Florida, and Destin area, or then to West Palm Beach. How much do those tournament wins help Alabama, you feel like, get ready for SEC play?
Well, I think they helped a lot, especially both of the tournaments. We got to play Clemson, Michigan State. You know, those are two good teams, especially right now, how they're playing. And I think it got us like to see where we were as a team, our chemistry, our unity, just how we look. So, I mean, I think it helped us, if anything.
And then you get into conference play, a little bit of adversity right away. Game one with Sarah Ashley Barker going down with that ankle injury. How did you guys kind of start to piece it together immediately without her in that ball game? And then kind of what's the transition been like in the last few games where we haven't seen SA on the floor?
Well, I mean, obviously we needed somebody to step up, especially with the rebounding ability that she has, and then just the scoring too. Our posts actually done stepped up a lot, all three of them. Christabel, G, and E. They have all done amazing. They done their parts really well. And then I can say Diana Collins, like, man, she's like a little pest on the ball. Like, we just appreciate everything she does, and then just coming in and playing that role too after SA had to be out. So I don't know, like, they all, like I said, they listen really well, they adjust really well, and they just want to win at the end of the day. So
prior to SA's injury, we'd seen a few minutes here and there of you and Diana Collins on the floor at the same time. A lot of times she was coming in to give you rest at different parts of the game, but now she's been in the starting lineup. Have you liked being on the floor with her at the same time? What does she help you with?
Yes, I love playing with Diana. We go really well in the backcourt because either one of us can pick up the ball, and then we can bring the ball down the court. So if if she has the ball, I can go in two position, and then it gives me ability to go rebound because that's not what I was really doing at first. I just because I had to pick the ball up, but yeah, like she opens it up for me a lot, and then gives me a breather on defense because she's always picking that ball up.
And that means a lot of quick transition points and making this offense go. I mean, you got to love how Alabama hunts the ball, it seems like, on defense.
Yeah, we like to be in that press, and we like to really have a very hard nose on the ball. Try to every time.
That's led to a lot of good results for this team. Have you liked the way this group has bounced back from adversity, whether it's the SA injury or only at this time we're recording 3 losses on the year, but right after that racking up multiple wins? I mean, how does this group bounce back from adversity?
Well, I can say we've bounced back from a few things. I mean, the Cal game, the Texas game, the South Carolina game. So I can say we don't just, just soak in the loss and just, let it, keep reminding us, why we lost, why we did this. We just move on and, it's the next opponent. And I think that's what I love the most. We don't really just worry about what we did wrong. We just try to fix everything we did.
How much fun have you had just getting back in SEC gyms after being away for a few years?
I actually love it. It reminds me of a lot of memories I had, playing at both of my schools. So I don't know. It's just a good time to be alive, I guess.
That's really good. Well, we're getting near the end of January. You're getting close to, obviously, what's going to be a grueling month of February before everything starts in March Madness. What do you feel like this team has to continue to work on to get ready for the postseason?
Definitely just being more physical on the defensive end, and then rebounding, and then obviously our free throws, Lord. And that's including myself. Like, we just have to do better on the free throw line. But other than that, I mean, our offense is where it should be. I mean, we can only get better at that end. But yeah, just defense and just being more physical than the other team.
Speaking of free throws, I mean, how much emphasis is there from the coaching staff on free throws in practice? And then I'm sure a lot of outside work you all do during the week.
Yes. It's actually a lot of emphasis on free throws. It's free throws every day. It's free throws not even before practice. So, I mean, Coach Christie always reminds us about our free throws, and we should be better at that for sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing that hard work pay off. And just what's this group capable of? What do you think is next for this team over the next few weeks?
I'm definitely securing these next wins and, just staying at the top of the SEC standing for sure.
Well, we look forward to that. Zaay Green, you've been, again, a great addition to this Crimson Tide roster. Now one of the key leaders for what we hope is a very long postseason run and a great finish in SEC play. Just thank you for the time you've given us. All the best to you. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Experience racing like never before. From the sandy beaches of Daytona to the high banks of one of the most exciting super speedways on the NASCAR circuit. Don't miss out as NASCAR kicks off the 2025 season with the Daytona 500 on February 16th, 2025. Witness history in the making and purchase your tickets today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com. Fun conversation with one of the veterans for women's basketball. Now we turn our attention to softball. We're only a week away from the start of Team 29. A key member of Team 28 joins us now in Marlie Giles, catcher for the Crimson Tide. She'll be a captain getting ready for her junior season, playing for Patrick Murphy and Alabama softball. But we had a great conversation in Tuscaloosa at the Saban Field at the Bryant-Denny Stadium at the Advantage Center. A great conversation detailing her journey to playing for the Crimson Tide, getting to live out a dream. Here is Marlie Giles talking Alabama softball. Roll Tide and welcome back to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Roger Hoover now pleased to be joined by Alabama catcher Marlie Giles for the Crimson Tide softball team as we're with you inside the Advantage Center at our podcast studio at Saban Field. And Marlie, Roll Tide. It's great to have you here.
Roll Tide. I'm excited to be here. Thank y'all for having me on the show.
We're really excited for it as you begin a new season this year with now Team 29. What have you liked about the work that this group's been putting in the last few weeks?
Oh, you have no idea. It's been awesome to see everybody getting and working hard, from everybody from our pitchers to our outfield, putting in the extra work on the off days, going in, hitting off the machine, using the hit tracks. It's been all the bells and whistles, like full throttle, especially with the cold weather. You'd think that everybody kind of take a couple of off days, but really it's been the opposite. Every day I've gone in to hit and stuff, I've seen girls in there working and getting stronger, going in and lifting with our strength coach, Michelle. And so we're just really excited to see how the season's going to pan out and everybody's hard work to be put on the field.
Of course, softball is an outdoor sport, but I know there's been a lot of preparation going on indoors. How do you guys get organized for an indoor practice?
So normally for indoor practice, Murph will start out with the defense over at the football indoor facility. So they can bring bases over there and really just treat it like a turf infield and a turf outfield. So it's really smart on their part, just being able to still get in that defense. But also, whenever it comes to the offensive side, everybody would come back to the field. And so then we'll normally have stations. We'll do like a little pre-warm up where we've got 4 cages in there, very like full length cages. So a pitcher could be in every single one of them. And then in all the cages, we have pitching machines where you can put it on like a self feeder where you just turn it on and it'll just feed it. And then we also just got this new machine called the Hit Tracks, which is a really, really cool thing for us to have. Basically, how it works is you can develop and put any stadium into it, and it like tracks your ball whenever you hit it. So whenever you're in the cages, a lot of times you don't know if it's a pop-up, if it's through the infield, or if they're going to make the play. And the system has like virtual people that play the position to where you can actually see if that ball gets through the hole or if you hit a home run or if it was a pop-up. So it's a really cool tool that we've been really using a lot this fall.
Do you miss the dirt when you're having to do all these turf practices, stuff like that?
I do, because probably catching is my favorite part of softball. Like, I mean, I love to hit, but gosh, I love practicing defense. I like watching the infield do their thing and like being able to kind of coordinate whenever we're doing drills and stuff and doing situations. I just think it's so fun. So I have missed it. But actually today we're going to go out on the field for the first time, and it's pretty cold. So we're going to see how that goes. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course, softball is such an interesting sport. You start when it is so cold, the first week of February, and then you end when it's really hot in Oklahoma City, getting into late May and early June. Just how does this time of the year, especially the early weeks of a season, how does it help build a team and get them ready for the long haul?
So I would say January is probably one of the hardest months out of the year for us, because it's a full month of practicing every single day and in 20-hour weeks, and you don't get the enjoyment of like playing another team and like actually winning a game. So I think our coaches do a really good job of like putting little competitions into everyday practice. So like that's where your little joy for the day can come from, is winning your competition, or maybe if you lose and even bringing it a little harder the next day because you didn't compete as well as you wanted to. So this January is honestly like, I think it's been really well. We haven't had girls complaining. We haven't had any of that. I think it's really been great, like people doing their job and going to work and trying to get as best that they can. But also on like the injury standpoint, it can be a lot, especially a full month of training and like everybody's tired and everybody wants another off day, but one off day a week. But so, I mean, that part can get stressful, but Murph does a really good job of strategically putting in flex days where we're supposed to have off days throughout the year, and he's gave us a couple of those recently, which has really helped with like being able to just kind of mentally just take a break for a day and maybe go hit if you want to and then come back refreshed the next day, which has been awesome.
You're one of the busier people on this roster. Not only are you a position player, a hitter, but you're also a catcher. So that means you have to do the mental side of pitching as well, get to know your fellow pitching members of the staff there. How much do you enjoy that catcher-pitcher relationship, especially the group you have right now?
Oh, it's fun. I really like it. All of our pitchers are completely different. So you've got Jocelyn Brisky, she's a drop ball pitcher, Caitlin Riley, another drop ball pitcher, and then you've got Emily Winstead and Brea Hodges, they're both rise ball pitchers, and then you've got Ailey Johnson, who's more of a change-up girl, but also can throw some speed. So with that being said, like they're all complete opposites, and all their personalities are complete opposites as well. So like this fall, I've really tried to get to know the new girls really well to understand how I can help them perform best, how I need to approach a situation. If they're maybe down an account, what I need to say, maybe if I don't need to say something. You know what I mean? Like just kind of learning their personalities, learning what works best for them. Because at the end of the day, whatever works best for them, that's what I want to do. Because I mean, I don't care if I look really dumb behind the plate. As long as it makes them pitch well, I really don't care. So
yeah, in the game when we see you jog out to the circle really quick, I mean, is it always scouting report things, or sometimes you say a quick joke, just kind of loosen the mood or loosen the tension at all? How do you manage that during a game?
It again depends on the pitcher. But I would probably, most of the time it's not scouting stuff. Our pitching coach, Lance McMahon, does a really good job of scouting pregame. So most of the pitchers know coming into the game, like all the hitters and like how they're going to approach them. So in the game, it's more of not thinking about mechanics and approaches. It's more just get the job done. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll go out there and I'll say the most randomest thing just to get them off of thinking of pitching. Sometimes I'll go up there and it'll be more of a competitive thing. Like, hey, win this pitch, you're going to beat her. It depends on the pitcher. Because some pitchers don't really like to amp up the moment any more than it is, and some pitchers pitch best whenever it's in a really tight moment and they're really competing. So again, it just kind of depends on who's throwing and what the situation is, but most of the time it's more of like a, hey, just deep breath, you've got this. That's probably like 80% of the time. And then like the other 20 is the, okay, we've got it. You're going to get this, girl.
Did you ever pitch before in your career?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
I had one pitching lesson whenever I was younger, and I don't even think I made it the full 30 minutes. I was so mad and bored, I wanted to just quit. So I quit.
Well, you certainly have found your niche for this softball program. And for you, we get to talk to a lot of members of Team 29, and many of them are from outside the state of Alabama. And they talk about watching the Crimson Tide from afar. How about from you being from Chilton County and Clanton, getting to watch this program growing up?
So I would definitely say I was a Bama fan growing up. My dad's a Bama fan. Most of his side of the family is. We've got a little Auburn fans here and there. But definitely mostly Alabama. And, I mean, I grew up going to the games. Like, I remember most of the time I would go, for some reason, it was always cold. I don't know why. So I just remember sitting in the brickyard with my blankets, like, and my mom and stuff, just sitting on, like, the little grass in the outfield. And then for a while there, it was more just I was so focused on going to college and playing that I guess I kind of lost sight of like the dream of like going to Alabama. And then whenever I kind of started going through the recruiting process, like getting really close so we can talk to college coaches our September 1st of our junior year. So I would say whenever I was a freshman in high school, I finally started like really thinking about like schools, and then like the dream kind of not came back. It's not like it went away, but that was whenever I was like, okay, like this is going to be a possibility. So we've got to really get it into gear. And that was whenever I was more in awe of being able to come here, is whenever I was kind of older and really understood like what it meant to play here and like all the girls and what it stands for.
So with that in mind, who were some of your softball heroes when you were the little girl in the brickyard, and then in high school, and once you finally got to start interacting with a lot of these players?
So I would definitely say whenever I was younger, I loved watching like Haley McClenny, and I also liked watching Chauncey Bell, which was a catcher. She was tall, blonde, and I remember coming to a camp whenever I was younger, and she like talked to me or whatever, and it was just like I was like, oh my gosh, that's her, she's the catcher, and it's just really cool being able to like see people that you look up to, and then like whenever they come back to like the program because they love it so much and want to come to the alumni stuff and all the things, and being able to see them and meet them is really cool. And then I guess whenever I got older, I don't know if I had a favorite player. I just liked watching the team as a whole. Like I remember whenever I was a senior in high school, or maybe a junior, I don't remember. Whenever Montana threw the perfect game at the World Series, I remember just like being so excited for them and being like, I can't wait for that to be me, and to like finally be able to like play with the girls and get to know the team. But definitely as I got older, like I knew all the girls on the team. I knew where they were from. I knew their position. Like it's kind of a little creepy if you think about like how much I knew about the team like as I got older. But obviously whenever I was younger, I didn't really know like the names as much. I mean, I would have my favorite here and there, but it was more of just like honestly like a fantasy. Like, you know, like you always dream of growing up, like I want to play for the University of Alabama, but there's always that thought in the back of your head that's like, well, you know, you might not go there, so like don't get your hopes up too bad, because you don't want to be disappointed if you're not able to go.
Was it always softball for you? Were there any other sports you played?
It was definitely always softball for the college route. I did play basketball in high school, and I did love basketball, but I would definitely say that basketball brought out the anger in me. If you ever watch me play basketball, like I didn't shoot. I didn't like to shoot, or I didn't like the ball in my hands. I just like to rebound and get it to the point guard and go play defense. That's what I was good at. And so, I mean, I loved basketball. Don't get me wrong. But you could say that our coach, there was some head bobbing back then. But, I mean, I'm glad I played in high school and wouldn't trade it for the world. So, I mean, I got to meet a completely different group of girls that I never would have met if I would have just stuck with softball. Even though we were from the same school, we weren't that big of a school. Like, I made relationships with those girls that I would have never made if I would have just played softball. And I don't regret that at all. So I was really, really glad that I played throughout all my years in high school.
From Chilton County, what makes Chilton County peaches so good?
Oh, I have no idea. All I know is whenever I go home, there's a bunch of peach trees all on the sides of the roads where people are planting and trying to harvest for the spring. I have no idea.
Well, I go to farmers markets here in Tuscaloosa with my wife, or in Birmingham where we live, and that's all you see is Chilton County peaches everywhere.
Oh yeah, they're literally delicious. Like up until this is sad, but probably like in high school, I didn't even know that like Georgia was known as the peach state. Like I was like, how is Georgia the peach state? We're literally known for peaches. And like, little Chilton County me is like, our peaches are better than theirs anyways. But they're like massive, the peaches that we have. And I don't know why they're so big, but my favorite memory probably with peaches is like my sister's fiance, his dad like worked at a fruit stand. And so he would bring us like a big basket of peaches whenever we would go out on the lake for like any event, like in the summer. And we would just keep like a little knife in the compartment in the boat, and we'd just peel the peaches as we'd want to eat them, and eat them out on the boat. And they were so good. I don't know if it was the water that made me so hungry, but those peaches were amazing. And that is something I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's a perfect setting, perfect snack. So that's definitely good to see.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely a lot of hometown pride for you as you get to, again, you're hoping that Alabama would be in your future. Just describe the recruiting process. Like, did Murph remember you from some of those camps when you were younger?
No. No, he didn't. But, I mean, that's okay. My recruiting process is a little different than most girls nowadays. So I grew up on playing league ball up until I was like 10, I think, or 9 or 10. And actually, the true story is that our all-star team, they wanted us to practice more. So we started a little travel ball team just to practice for the all-stars more. And we were called like Fusion, and we were like neon yellow. And after our first year of that, we were terrible. But we did good in all-stars, but like travel ball wise, we were like terrible. And so after that year, I guess our parents just decided that they were going to just try the travel ball route, because like league ball was like, I don't even know what was going on. I was too young to really know, but they just wanted to try out the travel ball scene. So my dad actually started a little travel ball organization called the Jaguars. And so it sounds as redneck as it was, but just kind of from girls from all over our county. Would have like some from Prattville, maybe some from like Chelsea or something like that. But we started out as just our team, and we played for a couple years, and it ended up growing like the organization did. We got better and better, and I think at one time maybe there was like 6 or 7 teams. But whenever I was around 12 or maybe 12 or 13, my dad was realizing that in order for me to get seen by these bigger coaches in like places like Alabama, I was just going to have to play on like a higher class like travel ball team. Like I just wasn't going to get seen playing for this team called the Jaguars. It sounds like they're from Chilton County, you know what I mean? And so I played on a couple of teams before I finally got asked to come play on the Birmingham Thunderbolts. So it's like a team up in Birmingham, and it's owned by Richard Shea, and there's a guy, he like runs all the practices, and it's really cool how they do it. So his name's Rocky Thompson, and they basically have these practices twice a week on Tuesday and Thursdays, and it's from 5 o'clock to 8 every single Tuesday, Thursday. And it's a chance for all the girls that play for this organization, like it doesn't matter if you're 10U or if you're 18U, to come and practice. And something like that, whenever I went to my first practice, it was a completely different league from anything I had ever done in my entire life. Like there was balls flying around everywhere. I didn't know where to go. Coach Rocky, he just said, go last and watch what the people in front of you do, because I'm not telling you what to do. So literally the girls there know that if there's a new girl, hey, like you got to explain to them what to do, because that's just how it is. And I had so much fun. I think that's where I developed my love for playing defense, is being able to practice. We would practice for like 3 and 4 hours twice a week, and it was just defense. Like we didn't even do offense. Like it was like you hit on your own time. You come to practice, we're going to learn how to play defense. And so I developed so much as a player just playing for that organization. I think I started the fall of my sophomore year, so I was able to play for them for 3 years. And after my first year of playing, that was how Coach Murphy found me, was from my travel ball coach at the time. Like he was like, where's your dream school? Like I need you to make a list. Where do you want to go? And sure enough, Alabama was my first school. I was like, well, that'd be the dream. Like, if I could go there, that'd be, like, really cool. I can't imagine, like, going anywhere else. And so on September 1st, my coach was like, hey, be ready. Like, you never know. Like, he might call you. And I think it was Coach Allie at the time, Coach Allison Habit. She called me at, like, 1 a.m. on September 1st. And I answered the phone call, and I was ecstatic as all get out and so excited.
Best late night phone call ever.
Oh,
right?
yeah, best. Yeah, best late night phone call ever. It was awesome.
Oh, that's really cool. And so, again, you got the experience of, growing up being a fan, coming to games, and then now you're able to take a look behind the scenes a little bit, and you make that decision to join the Crimson Tide. Let's, first of all, talk about that. What was your signing day like?
Oh, my signing day was so cool. So where I'm from, we don't get very many, like, athletes, especially that go to Power 5 schools. And so, like, my mom helped me set it up where we were in, like, the little auditorium that we have. No, not auditorium. The gym. We were in the gym. And we, like, made little invitation cards and, like, sent it out. And, like, the whole side of the gym was, like, full of, like, friends and family that, like, love me and care for my, my future and that have been a part of my softball life or school life or whatever it was. And it really just kind of showed the testimony of, like small towns, they really do care about each other, and like how I think if I would have been at like a bigger high school or something like that, it would have been a completely different scenario where maybe there would have been a couple people here and there, but they didn't truly like know me and have as much of the influence as they did all the people that were there that day.
That's really cool to hear about. So you make that decision, you graduate high school, and now you come here to Tuscaloosa. Just describe your freshman year, that fall, getting to know some of the upperclassmen. Who were some of the good leaders that welcomed you to Alabama softball?
So my freshman year was Montana Founts, Allie Shipman, Ashley Prangy, and Faith Hensley's senior year. So very big senior class. I was coming in, and I was probably terrified because, they were just such big names, and I knew how good of players they were. And Allie Shipman was a catcher, and I was a catcher. So, like, I kind of came in knowing that, like, she's probably going to have the position or whatever. But I also came in with the intent to push her every single day. I was like, I'm not going to make it easy on her. So I came in and practiced as hard as I could, and I wanted to really, I made a stab at the job. Like, I tried to win the job out. Obviously, she beat me out because she's amazing. But, and so once she beat me out, then I started practicing in the outfield. And so I played outfield for Coach Rocky, for the travel ball coach, for about a year, maybe 2 years. No, 2 years. And then my final year, I finally was working with catchers. And so I was kind of used to there's good players on your team, so you've got to understand if they're better than you and they won the job, and there's no issue with that. Like, I'm just pushing them to be better at practice every single day. So once she beat me out, I went to the outfield, and I got an opportunity against, I think it was Auburn, to pinch hit, and I, like, hit the longest single ever. It was like off the wall, but I thought it was over. Embarrassing. Anyways, and so I got like a long single out of it. And after that at bat, he put me in the outfield. And so I played outfield for like, I think 2 or 3 SEC series is my freshman year. And then whenever we were at Ole Miss, Allie Shipman, she got a concussion. So then I came in and I had not caught in probably 3 or 4 months, like not even put on the catcher's gear. And I had to catch that game in the SEC series. That was like, I had not caught Montana since, probably February, whenever we were in Texas, or February or March. And, I guess I held down the fort as best as I could. But, I'm sure, I made some screw-ups while I was back there. But our leadership that year was awesome. Like, Montana did such a good job, and so did Ship, and so did Prangy. Like, they were just incredible young women, and being able to learn from them and see how they lead a team, I think really helped the people that we have now on the team to lead as best as they can. Like Abby Dukeshire, Larissa Pruitt, Kristen White, me. Like, we all were able to learn from them and be able to lead in the same way that they did.
That's really special, and that was a special season. You mentioned getting to catch Montana. Were things just different with her? The velocity, the amount of break on her pitches. What was it like catching her?
It was really cool. I would say for her was her attitude. She's unlike anybody I've ever caught. She didn't let the moment get too big. She didn't freak out no matter the situation. She always had the same face, and she was like serious all the time. And I was a little scared of her, not gonna lie, little freshman me. But I remember I was always so worried of like disappointing her in a sense, like especially whenever I was catching her, like I was like, oh my gosh, like I should have framed this better, I should have got this strike, or then we wouldn't have lost the game. Just like I knew how much Bama softball meant to her, and it made me care about it as much as she did. I mean, I already cared about it, but the amount of love and stuff that she put into this program is crazy. And just seeing the pride that she had to be able to wear the A on her chest is really like one of the reasons that I'm as prideful as I am about it now. Because without her being able to show like, hey, this means something, and it's not just a jersey you put on every day, like it represents more than just yourself. Like all of that me and the upperclassmen now are trying to teach the younger girls and the younger classmen is from her, is from the upperclassmen that we had teach us.
And how about the grit, too, that she showed, getting injured in the SEC tournament and then willing you all through that postseason run? I mean, that had to teach you a lot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, resilience is another thing. I mean, Coach Murphy used it as our word of the year last year because we didn't do as well in the SEC and then still ended up making it to the World Series. But that's what she was. And I think that just shows a tone to how much she wanted to be back on that field, and she wasn't through yet, and she knew she only had a couple months left, and so I don't even know how she managed to pitch, but she did, and it was just really cool to be able to see her work as hard as she did to be able to do that.
So that's a whirlwind of a freshman year for you. And then,
Yes.
like you mentioned, that great senior class moves on. As a sophomore, you're going to take on a larger role. I am curious, you go from 13 to 34. We had just seen Allie Shipman wear number 34. Was that a tip of the cap to her, or was that a number you always wanted?
It was a number I always wanted. My dad was 34 whenever he played in like high school. He didn't even play college sports. He didn't even go to college. And so whenever I was younger, I started playing whenever I was like 3.5. And so he just put me in his number. And I just never changed it. And I just liked it. And it kind of just fit always as I grew up. So everybody knew me as the girl that wore 34. It's kind of an odd number maybe. Definitely not as common as a lot of numbers. And so like whenever I came to college and everybody seen that I wasn't 34, they were like, are you going to change back? Are you going to change back? Like, you're supposed to be 34. And so I was like, yes, I'm going to change back. I'm going to change back. And so that's why I'm 34.
Oh, that's really good to see. And again, for you take on that larger role working with the pitching staff a year ago. And then, fortunately, some adversity for you on March 30th. What can you tell us about what led to the injury and the long road back you had after that?
Sure. So going up to that moment was pretty rough. We had not won a series yet. And so I remember that day, it was a 1-1. It was the series was tied 1-1. And I think like the night before I'd like hit a home run, and I had not hit a home run in a couple of weeks. So like that was like, it meant a lot to me, and I was like fired up, like ready to go. I was ready to win the series. And I don't remember what inning it was, but as soon as I got hit, I was like swinging, and I like took the pitch, and as I took it, it like hit my forearm. It hit me like right here. I have a scar. So
wow.
That's a scar, yeah. And so I went to first base, and I was like, I couldn't like get my breathing under control. I was trying not to cry. And our athletic trainer AC comes out there, and she like is like moving it around, and I'm like not having it, and I'm like, it's broken. Like that's not normal. And I remember Coach Bro and Murph coming over there and like, okay, we need to get you a runner. And I was like, I'm not getting a runner. And I was like, you're not taking me out of this game. It was like, the score was like 0-0 or 1-1, something. It was a tied ball game, and I was the lead and run. And I was like, I know I'm a good base runner. Let me run the bases. Like, I can at least run the bases good. I know I'm out. I'm done. It's broken. I was like, I can't throw. I'm not going to be able to hit. At least let me run the bases. And he let me run the bases. And so I ended up scoring on like a pass ball. I like made it around the horn and scored on pass ball. And I came into the dugout, and I had nobody on the team knew that I knew it was broke or that they thought it was broken. And so I like went to our athletic trainer, and I was like, hey, is there like a test you do to like tell if this thing's broke or something? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, just do it right now, because I'm going to lose my mind if I don't know if it's broken. And she like did it, and I was like, yep, that hurts. Okay, it's broken. Awesome. And it was a lot to take in, not going to lie. So I guess after that moment, it was a lot of, the next day was Easter. So after I broke my arm, we flew back home, and I went home, and I remember like going to church the next morning with my family, and like I had like a makeshift splint on my arm at that point that our athletic trainer made. It was like it was funny looking, but I had my little Easter dress on and my splint on my arm. And then it's making it worse because all the people in our church and hometown are like, "Oh, are you okay? Is it going to be okay?" And I'm like, "No, it's broken." So, I mean, that was a little awkward, but I just remember just sitting there like in the pew or whatever, and like worship music was playing, and I was just bawling, crying because I just didn't want the season to be over with. Like, I was like, I can handle a couple of weeks, but I was like, please just let me step back on the field one more time. That was all I wanted. All I wanted was to be able to step on the field, whether that was in regionals, whether that was at the World Series. I was like, I don't care. I don't want this to be the end of the season for me. And thankfully, by the grace of God, it wasn't. And we went and seen Dr. McYoung. She's up in Birmingham, and she was like, yeah, we can do surgery on it. And she put a big fat plate up against it and put some screws in it and lined it back up and screwed it in there. And I think I was out for 5 weeks or something like that. And I remember that I couldn't do this with my hand. So, like, because the way your bones are, you can't do that. Anyways. And so they were like, whenever you can turn the bat this way, we'll let you hit. And so I was like, okay. And so I'd go to therapy every day, whatever. I had this machine that would turn my hand for me. Like, I was doing everything I could just to make my hand just flip over and turn. Because, you got to do that to hit. And so I think he let me catch in the Auburn series. He finally, the doctor cleared, was like, okay, if you want to catch, you can, but we're going to wait one more week on the hitting. So I caught like a couple of innings of the Auburn game, and I was just like so excited. I was just like so grateful. I was like, I didn't even know if I'd be here, and like we've still got time. Like, I think I'm going to be able to hit. And then I think the next weekend was SEC tournament, and so then it was off the bat I didn't start. So I didn't even know if I was going to get to hit this game, but I know that I had been cleared to hit. And mind you, at this time, I'd hit off of a pitcher, like a real pitcher, maybe twice, like since my injury, because like they didn't want me hitting off the machines because it was too like impactful. They didn't want me in a environment where the pitcher might hit me. So I remember before the game, Lance McMahon, our pitching coach, was like throwing front toss, and he was like doing like a full circle, and it was like I actually had a good like BP, and I was like, okay, like I'm good. I'll do it. Put me in. I'm ready. And I think he ended up giving me a pinch hit at bat and like put me in the game to catch. And so then whenever I finally came up to bat, I think I like popped up to first base, like my first at bat. I might have done it my second bat too. I don't even remember. But I did end up getting a hit that game. I got a double. I was facing Sydney Bergeron. I'm not sure how you say her name, but she throws like probably 68, 60, 69, 70 drop ball pitcher. And I was late on both of her fast stuff, all of her fast stuff, and she threw me a changeup or her off speed. And I was like, thank you, Lord, for giving me this changeup. And I hit a double off the wall. And I was like, if you would have threw me something else, I would have fouled it off again because I wasn't catching up to it. But hey, it worked. And sadly, we did end up losing that game, which, me, I'm fired up. I'm a very competitive person. I'm like so mad. And so then we go back and we practice, and now postseason starts. Like, it's regional time. And so from then on, I mean, it was just practice every day like normal. I mean, manage it the best we could, take some ibuprofen, wrap it up, call it a day.
So you're into the postseason. Alabama doubted a little bit in that postseason with the draw. First of all, you got Clemson in the regional. How special was it to move on, and we'll get to Tennessee after that?
It was awesome. I mean, we were so excited. I mean, Riley Valentine coming up with that clutch home run. I don't even remember which game it was. All I remember is that she hit that home run, and we won one of the games, and then we were going to the World Series. And it's almost pretty much a blur. Like, when I think about it, I couldn't even tell you the specific games. I couldn't even tell you who we played, probably, if I thought about it. But it was just surreal, you know what I mean? People didn't even think we were going to make it out of regionals. And so being able to see, like, Kayla Beaver and all the new girls, Jocelyn, like, the freshmen, and being able to, like, make it past that first round and be able to just, like, okay, we put up our best fight and we won. Who's up next? And lo and behold, it was Tennessee.
Out there as well, and Tennessee wins the first game. They're now, 7 innings away from going to the Women's College World Series, one of your arch rivals. Game 2 ends up being 14 innings. You're behind the plate for all that. You see all the pitching from Jocelyn and Kayla Beaver. In the moment, did you realize what a special game that was?
I did, but I didn't. All I remember, again, kind of blanked it out. Don't really remember. But I just remember every time we'd come in or we'd finish an inning, like Kayla Beaver would just be so fired up. Like she was like, we are not giving in. We're not backing down. Like we're going to win this game. And it wasn't like a sign of defeat whenever we wouldn't get the job done. It was like she was the fire that we needed to keep us going, to play great defense so we'd have another opportunity. Because, the pitching staff at Tennessee, gosh, kudos to them. They're both All-American pitchers. Carlin Pickens, probably one of the best pitchers in college softball. And then you've got Gottschall, who's got probably the best rise balls in college softball. So, they both did such a phenomenal job. And, I think that game goes either which way. I remember being on first base at some point in that game, and one of the Tennessee girls, she was just like, God, I'm ready for this game to be over with. And, that was her mindset. And I was like, do you realize what you're playing against right now? This isn't, just a tournament. This is postseason. I don't think there was any of that in our dugout. Nobody was like, oh, I just want this game to be over with. We were all just fired up and ready to go and just wanted, I'm sure you've heard the story of Lauren Johnson, getting pinch hit for and starting that inning off where Kristen White scored her whenever she was at third base. She sat on the bench for 13 innings. And Murph was like, who wants to hit? And she said, I'll hit. And sure enough, he put her up there. She got the job done. And we just kind of kept it rolling after that. It was just one hit after another. And I think seeing finally winning the game, just was like, we're not losing the second. We're not losing the third game. And knowing that they all looked defeated, they didn't look like they were going for a revenge. They just were kind of just like, ugh, we just played 14 innings and lost. And I think that fired me up even more because I was like, you better, if I'm going to play you and you're going to beat me or you're going to lose, respect the sport enough to care. You know what I mean? Or at least a lot of fire, which all respect to Tennessee. They're a great program, and it was just, I guess maybe that's just what I was telling myself to get me fired up for the game. Who knows? But it was more about us as a team. We were going to win, and I didn't have any doubt about that. And then, gosh, Riley coming in clutch again in that next game, hitting that grand slam in the first inning. And then after that, having the rain delay, and then going in and just sitting, I don't know where we were. We're somewhere in Tennessee where they had a little, I think it was a ping pong table or something. And we were just sitting there, and I was like, we're going to the World Series. We were up 4-0 in the first inning. I was like, we're going. We're done. The game's over with. The game is over with. And when we went back out there, we made sure to come out with energy and ready to go. And we won the dang thing. We won it. And Beaver held them, and she pitched a phenomenal game. We played great defense, and it's a memory that I'll hold very dear. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of that team.
Yeah, anytime punch ticket to Oklahoma City is special, but especially there in Knoxville. I know they had some victory cigars. It was the full celebration.
Yeah.
But then you get to Oklahoma City and you hit the game-winning home run against Duke. Tell us about that at bat, and also where is that home run ball? We know it's given back to your parents. Is that back home in Clinton? You have it here?
I have no idea where that ball is. If I'm being completely honest with you, I have absolutely no idea. But leading up to that game, let's see here. It was nothing special. It was the same thing. I prepared like any other game. We knew that we couldn't lose. I was like, I'm not losing. And I think the last time I had played Duke was whenever I was a freshman, and it was in Clearwater. And the last time I had faced the pitcher that was throwing, she hit me in the hand, and it bruised up real bad. That's the only thing I knew. But I definitely wasn't overthinking or anything like that in the box. And I guess the good Lord was with me that day because, I was a little under that ball anyways, and it still made it out somehow or another. So I don't really know how. But, you look back at that game, and yes, I did hit the winning home run, but if we don't hold them and have as good a defense we have, they could have scored way more runs. I mean, again, hats off to Kayla Beaver and Jocelyn Brisky. I think they both throwed a little bit that game. Like, without that pitching, they score another run. My run doesn't matter. And, I mean, I know that, and I know that we're not in that position without our defense and without our pitchers and without the runner being on base in the first inning whenever we scored the first run. Like, it's just we always look at the winning home run or the winning wuss and the winning that. But, I mean, it's a team. You know what I mean? We're not there without the team. We're not there with Riley getting that winning hit in Super Regionals. You know what I mean? And I think whenever you think about it like that, it's just I just was the one who it happened to happen to me that day. You know what I mean? And maybe the next day it was going to be somebody else. The next day it's somebody else. You know what I mean? Just like Riley having the winning hit in the Tennessee game, I had the winning hit in the Duke game. And so, like, it just, you never know. You know what I mean? It's not one person. We're just a team, and we're just there to play.
Just there to play, and now it's Team 29. We're on to your junior year. Already 2 great years you've had wearing the crimson and white, and now you get to be one of the 2 captains. So what does it mean to have that honor even going into the season?
It means so much to me. I love this team with my whole heart, and I love these girls and would do literally anything for any of them. And just knowing how much our coaches care for us and how much, like, everyone around us and our support staff and how much they pour into us just as a person, not even as an athlete. Like, you take softball completely out of it, and, like, we learned so many life lessons from Murph and from Coach Bro and from Lance. I mean, Lance will, every single day it seems like he'll say something about building character. You're being put through hard things to build your character and be able to sustain, and even when things hit you like life, like, you're able to get back up and get on your feet. He's a character himself. I love him to death. But, I mean, just knowing that my teammates chose me to be captain also kind of fills my heart up for the day. You know what I mean? Like, we've never had captains before on our team. I think this is the first time I've had a captain, at least while I've been here. And people choosing me to take that role really means a lot to me. And I'm just so thankful that they, I guess, trust me with that role and think that I'm fit for it.
Well, we can't wait to see Team 29 hit the field this year. Marlie, we could talk for another hour or so about everything Alabama softball. Just thank you for the time you've given us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you back at some point this spring. Thank you. Roll Tide.
Thank you for having me. Roll Tide.
Greetings from Daytona, where year after year, greatness is the destination. So book your experience and soak in 500 miles of history and tradition. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Last night, a lot of reasons to smile for head coach Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide. He knew going into this ballgame against Mississippi State it would take a blue-collar effort to get a win against Chris Jans and the Bulldogs, and that certainly proved to be the case as Alabama picks up a 4-point win in Starkville. Here are some of the comments from head coach Nate Oates following the win for the Crimson Tide at Humphrey Coliseum.
Wow, that was quite the game. If you like big shot making, that was a good game to be at and watch. I mean, Hubbard's pretty good, man. We didn't do a very good job on him, but man, he made some tough shots. So, I thought Chris, stepped up, said let me take him. I thought maybe he did the best job at anybody, but it was late in the game and we'd already given up a bunch of them to him. So, I mean, he goes for 38. I mean, we got to do a better job on defense, obviously, but we definitely made some big plays elsewhere to make up for the fact we didn't do a very good job on Hoover, and we didn't shoot well at the free throw line. We only go 55% of the line, so we end up out rebounding them, and they're a tough team. I mean, they got some of the tougher guys in the league, in my opinion. But Matthews gets 4 whole boards, but Diabate ends up with 7. That one at the free throw line, they're late, was huge. The block by Cliff there that kind of saved the game, in my opinion. I think we were up 1 at the time. They would have put them up 1 with, I don't know how much time was left, under a minute, close to 30 seconds maybe. We screwed up the defense on that, screwed up the switch, let them open. Cliff came back, made a big block. So, a lot of guys go down the list. A lot of big plays. Thought Sears had a really good bounce back game. I mean, he played hard. We chart those blue collar points. Diabate ended up winning it with 7 boards, but Sears was like right there, a point behind him. So, man, I thought he made a bunch of tough plays. He ended up with 6 rebounds, 3 boards. We got him on the boards. He's 17, 9, and 6. I thought he was really good. overall game. And you look at the way we shot it from three. You know, we try to recruit shooting because we're going to shoot a lot of threes. But, you know, to go 15 of 31 on a road game was huge. You know, Chris stepped up and made some big ones. A lot of big ones late in the game, too. He goes 7 of 10. Sears goes 3 of 5. You know, Holloway's 3 of 7. You know, those are our three main shooters, and they stepped up. I mean, made 13 threes between the three of those guys. So, you know, a lot of good plays from everybody. Huge road win against a really good team that's, you know, obviously already won a lot of games this year. They're going to win a lot more games this year, so that win's going to go a long ways. Yeah, obviously the turnovers, we tried to put it in there, some tight places too much. I think 2 of those were jump balls that they had the possession on. So, you know, obviously we don't want them turning the ball over 7 times, but I thought his effort, which is really what we've been trying to get him to really, was great. I mean, 3-0 boards. I don't know if that's a high for him. You know, I thought 6 rebounds total to go 17, 9, and 6. You know, if he could have got a few more rebounds and another assist, he's pushing a triple-double, which is not easy to do for a guy his size. So, you know, I thought he made some big shots late in the shot clock. It kind of bailed us out. I mean, the one lean in, I think the lean in 3 at the top of the key, the one over there on the left baseline. I mean, we needed every last point we could get tonight, and some of those shots he hit when probably nobody else on the team would be able to generate a bucket that late in the clock like he was able to do was big. So I was super happy with Mark's effort and performance tonight. Yeah, I mean, he's a winner. He ended up being second on the team in plus minus, but led us in blue collar. He timely offensive rebounds. That one at the free throw line was huge, but he had other ones other than that. I mean, you know, I think the one Cliff missed the dunk attempt on kind of that roll. He went in, picked that thing up. So, I mean, he's just a winner. He finds his way on the floor. He makes us play him. He's kind of dealing with a little bit of an ankle injury tonight, and he still was able to do what he did for us.
I'm Kayla Beaver. This is Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR.
Don't miss out on your chance to experience the energy and the excitement of the Great American Race. Witness history in the making and purchase your tickets today for the 2025 Daytona 500 at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com. It's almost time to wrap up this edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, but before we go, we wanted to take a look at what's coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Don't forget tomorrow, a new edition of Tide TV This Week, as well as Chris Stewart and Nate Oates with the Nate Oates television show to our TV affiliates across the state, plus available online at rolltide.com and the UA Athletics social media platforms. Then on Saturday, we turn the calendar to February, and it will be Alabama men's basketball at home against Georgia. 2 p.m. Our broadcast will start from the concourse level at Coleman Coliseum, with our pregame coverage starting at 2 o'clock. We look forward to seeing all the fans as they make their way into Coleman. And then on Sunday, it'll be fun as well. Alabama against Georgia in women's basketball. 1:45 will be the tip-off for the Crimson Tide and the Lady Bulldogs. And then coming up on Monday night, we'll talk about it with head coach Nate Oates with Hey Coach at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. And the next time you see this slide coming up next week, we will be talking about softball games that are coming up on the network. Tom Canterbury, Gray Robertson, I'm sure they are good to go on Catfish 100.1 this year for Alabama softball. So again, we had a lot of softball talk today with Marlie Giles. We'll have more softball coming up in the future as well as Team 29 gets ready to begin the season. Make sure you follow us at UA_CTSN for all the very latest on Alabama athletics and some of our behind the scenes looks at Crimson Tide athletics. And don't forget as well, we will have the women's basketball game tonight against Kentucky starting at 5:45 here on the network. It's going to wrap up this busy edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. A huge thank you to the guests we've had: Zaay Green from Alabama women's basketball, Marlie Giles from Crimson Tide softball, as well as Coach Oates with his comments. Thank you to Ethan Caravan. He's holding down the fort in Tuscaloosa while I'm up here in the Bluegrass State having fun with the Alabama women's basketball team. But appreciate Ethan putting this entire show together, and thanks to all of you for watching. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying thanks for watching Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Have a great weekend, everyone, and roll Tide.